Hello, everyone. My name is Bill Ballo, and I am the lead paramedic instructor here at Madison College. And first of all, I want to say thank you for agreeing to be a preceptor. I'm going to go through some preceptor training materials here with you, a little bit of PowerPoint. Please forgive me for the CNN talking head style that I'm doing here. I generally try to avoid that, but we're going to go through a little bit of a PowerPoint, and then I'm going to allow for questions. Obviously, there's nobody in the meeting at the moment, but you can go ahead and send me questions to my email at wballo@madisoncollege.edu. You can also send emails to our clinical coordinator, Anna Hoffman, ahoffman@madisoncollege.edu, and I'll have those emails up here at the end of the PowerPoint. So I'm going to go ahead and share my PowerPoint with you right now. And we're going to kind of go through some of the information that you would need in order to be a preceptor here at Madison College. So first of all, we're going to talk about our objectives. We're going to define what a preceptor is and what the requirements are on you as the preceptor. We'll discuss the general idea of the learning environment and what we're looking for in terms of a learning environment. Define requirements of students at their rotations. What exactly do my students have to do? How many patients do they have to see? What kind of things do they have to see? That's all the stuff we're going to talk about. We're going to show you the paperwork that we're using, and we're going to distribute, of course, contact information. A lot of changes have been happening here at Madison College, a lot of changes in our EMS program, and we have some really exciting things that are happening. We have some new updates that are happening, and so we'll go through some of the new information as well, some of the new things that are happening too. So your role specifically as a preceptor, well, you know, what I'm looking for you to do and what I'm looking for you to report back to both me and to Anna is we're looking for you to report back to us that a student is or is not ready to be an entry-level paramedic in the field. So we have to think about, what does entry-level paramedic mean, right? We all remember when we were students and how, you know, we knew things. We were pretty good at what we were doing. Yes, we were ready to go out in the field, but we know that a lot of our learning took place over time as we started to grow as paramedics. So I want those students to be safe, entry-level paramedics that could care for patients on their own, starting, you know, right at the end of that paramedic class. So if paramedic class ended when they were done with all of their field time, are they going to be a competent entry-level paramedic in the field? That's what we're looking for, okay? The other thing is we're looking for you to continue the teaching process. So we're going to teach them a lot of stuff in class. We're going to teach them based on the national standard. We're going to teach them all of these things in class, and what we want them to do is now go out and practice them with you, and we want you to continue that teaching, right? The preceptor role, the role is as a teacher, and they're still out there trying to learn how to be paramedics. So they shouldn't be out there on their very first paramedic ride and you know, just pushing you out of the way and going, I can do all of this, and you know, they're perfectly ready to go. They're still learning. There's still some learning going on out there in the field. Okay? And then we want you to be a positive role model for the student as well. And you know, you can kind of estimate what comes along with positive role model. We want you to promote a professional attitude towards the patients, towards the students. That's kind of our expectation as well, okay? So I want you to teach, I want you to mentor, I want you to show them professionalism, I want you to show them what it's like to be a good, competent, professional paramedic in the field. That's exactly what we're looking for. We're looking for you guys to show them how to be good, competent paramedics out in the field. We're going to show them all of the information. We're going to give them all of the information to be that competent paramedic out in the field. We want you to make sure that they actually are ready to go as paramedics. We do not want anyone being sent out into the field by themselves who is not ready to do that, okay? If that student, if you really, truly, honestly feel that that student is not ready to be a competent entry-level paramedic, please, by all means, get in touch with myself, get in touch with Anna Hoffman, and we can you know, discuss that with you and try to find out exactly what's going on and why you feel that this person is not a competent entry-level paramedic. Our paramedic instructors all have a lot of years of experience. Between myself, Greg Bailey, and Brandon Ryan, we have a lot of years of experience. We've spent a lot of time out in the field, and so we know what it's like to be real field paramedics. We're not those instructors who, have no idea what it's like to be an actual field paramedic. And we want you to show our students as well how to do that, okay? I want you to identify students that need remediation. If you identify a student and you say, hey, this person is not operating competently, or they're dangerous, or there's no way this person is going to be able to operate as a competent field paramedic, I want you to identify that. I want you to get in touch with us. The learning process still continues with you. So you're still teaching them things that they may not know. Just because they don't know it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not entry-level competent. We want you to continue that learning process out there out in the field, okay? And of course, completing the appropriate paperwork. Now, that's one of the great changes that's happened actually at Madison College in the past few years, is that we've cut our paperwork down quite a bit. We went from a whole bunch of pages with a whole bunch of signature pages to basically one page front and back, which I'll show you in just a minute here, and one preceptor signature for you. Now, your student will also fill out a preceptor evaluation, and they have to do that on every single shift. They're going to fill that out in FISDAP. That's another change that's happened at Madison College in the past couple of years, is that we're no longer using Platinum, we're using FISDAP, and the student can document actually out in the field with you. They can do their documentation on FISDAP. You can help supervise their documentation on FISDAP, and you can have them kind of work with you on doing appropriate documentation as well. Okay, so yeah, that's another really great change that's actually happened over the past couple of years. So what are the requirements for being a preceptor? Well, it's in the DHS Chapter 110. So in DHS Chapter 110, it lays out sort of all of the things that are expected out of preceptors. A change that's coming to the state possibly soon, they have mentioned it, but we don't know exactly when that change is going to happen, is that the state will start having more approval or more of a hand in the approval of preceptors overall. We'll see when that happens. Again, not sure, but we'll keep you updated on that. So what things do you have to do in order to be a preceptor for the state and for the college? Well, your medical director has to say, yes, this person can be a preceptor. This person is a good paramedic. They can be a preceptor out in the field. I approve. Excuse me. You have to be licensed, obviously, at the level or above the level of training that you're providing. So if you're providing level training of AEMT, you have to be at the AEMT level or above. If you're doing precepting for paramedics and paramedics only, then you have to be at the level of paramedic and above. You have to have 2 years. You have to have had 2 years operating as a licensed paramedic in order for you to be then a preceptor for the state and for the college, okay? And again, at or above that level of training, all right? And then the ambulance service is going to keep copies and going to keep some information and some documentation on file about all of your preceptors and the qualifications of those preceptors. Anna usually sends out some information via email and asks for certain things, and from time to time she may ask for certain things from those preceptors. We do keep on file sort of a general information of the preceptor requirements, people who have met those preceptor requirements, and we keep those in FISDAP so that we can always kind of go back and reference who our preceptors actually are, but we do rely on our ambulance services to keep information on those preceptors as well. So the learning environment, well, so we all know how tough it can be as a paramedic out in the field. We all know how tough it can be on preceptors sometimes, and we all know how tough it can be on students because we were all students at one point in time. Well, what we want is we want that learning environment that really makes them feel like they're welcome at your service, that they're welcome to be riding with you. I don't know if you remember sometimes when you were in the hospital environment or other environments, doesn't necessarily always have to be the hospital environment, but in other environments where sometimes those preceptors didn't seem like they really wanted to be a preceptor. That's what we want out of you. We want you to want to be preceptors, not just, okay, you got stuck with me today. Oh, geez. We want you to want to be a preceptor. All right. We want you to be excited about having students. We want you to be excited about teaching students. We rely on you to keep up that learning environment. The learning environment here at the college is one of openness, one of fun for learning, one of excitement for learning, and we want you to kind of keep that up. Okay? So we need consistency. We need you to be as consistent as possible. The question that I get, a lot of the questions that I get revolve around protocols. So what do our students know as far as protocols go? We don't teach our students to any specific protocol. I don't teach the student to a Madison Fire protocol or a Mount Horeb protocol or a Fitzgerald protocol or a Sun Prairie protocol. I don't teach them to a certain protocol. We teach them to the national standard. When they go out and they ride with you, they are expected to have some knowledge of your protocols. Now, what we rely on you for is the assistance in helping them to know your specific protocols. Okay? So we'll try to get your protocols beforehand and give them a chance to look at it. But even if we don't, and even if they don't get a chance to look at it, sort of first shift kind of stuff, that might be the best thing to do, is to sit down with the protocol book, sit down with the student and say, hey, let's look through this and let's see what's the same and what's different. Okay? And that's really important. We're looking for honesty. Okay? I want you to be completely honest with that student. I want you to explain to them what you think they would be best to do in order to become a really good paramedic and to advance in their career. And then, of course, I want you to be honest with me, and I want you to be honest with Anna, and tell us, is this student absolutely ready to be a paramedic, entry-level paramedic, or are they not ready to be an entry-level paramedic? And in turn, what can we do to help them become an entry-level paramedic? We want positive feedback for the students on both their strengths and on their weaknesses. Okay? Positive feedback doesn't mean that I sit there and I pat them on the head and say, that was really wonderful, that wrong medication you gave. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But explaining to them why the medication that they were going to be giving, I hope they didn't give it because you should be there watching, but why that medication that they were thinking about giving or the thought that they had in terms of treatment for that patient might have been incorrect. Obviously, it's not the right time right in front of the patient to sit there and say, no, you're doing this wrong. Man, what is wrong with you? Those kind of things. That's the time to take over and say, here, I'm going to go ahead and take over this patient. We're going to go through working this patient, and I'll explain to you sort of at the end why I'm doing what I'm doing. Okay? I want objective feedback, and our students are looking for objective feedback. Believe it or not, the students actually, they respond very well to being told, no, that wasn't the correct way of doing that. Here's how the correct way should be. Just saying, no, you were wrong, and then leaving it at that, well, that doesn't help me, that doesn't help you, that doesn't help the student, that doesn't really help anybody. Explain what exactly they should be considering in this case, or what maybe they missed. Maybe they had that chest pain patient and they missed something that chest pain patient specifically said that would lead them in the direction to, I don't know, maybe not giving nitro, right? Or maybe they were going to give nitroglycerin prior to doing a 12 lead on that patient, and you go to them and you explain, hey, listen, if that patient had an inferior wall MI, there might be right-sided involvement, and here's why you wouldn't want to do that. And that kind of reinforces that lesson that was taught in class. Keep in mind that over paramedic school, and you know how short paramedic school can be. In some cases, our paramedic school is 2 semesters, 2.5 semesters. Our night class usually is a little bit longer, and I'll go into that in just a second. But even so, there's a lot of information pumped into their heads in that short period of time. And even though they do a whole lot of simulation, even though they get out there and they do a lot of simulation, they may stumble sometimes. And so what we're looking for you to do is we're looking for you to help them up when they stumble, right? Not to make them feel horrible for it, not to make them feel terrible that they stumbled, but to help them up when they stumble, right? So if that student stumbles consistently, especially on one certain thing, that's where remediation is definitely going to come in, right? So if consistently that paramedic or that paramedic student, keeps doing the same thing over and over again, they keep trying to give nitro to the patient without doing a 12-lead EKG, then remediation really would be necessary in that case. Okay, you can either do remediation right there, right at your station, explaining why you're doing what you're doing, and explaining in more I hesitate to say forceful terms, but I guess that's what we're kind of in. But really trying to make it clear as to why this is going. And then if still that doesn't make it through to them, they keep doing this thing, you got to send them to us, okay? We will take that that student out of that learning environment. We'll bring them back in. We'll go through remediation on our end. And if still remediation on our end is not doing it, well, then we need to look at, is this student really ready to be an entry-level paramedic? Maybe this is a student that needs to go back through one of the classes or something like that. Those are very, very rare cases. As most of you have probably noticed, the students that we send out to you, they're actually really good at what they do. They have some stumbles here and there, just like entry-level paramedics should, but they're really, really good at what they do. They've gone through a lot of simulation. They've spent a lot of time learning this information. They have dedicated their time, and they've dedicated this time in their life to doing this, and they really want to be out there, and they really want to be good entry-level paramedics. If there's errors, if there's mistakes, if there's omissions, those kind of things, make sure that we're correcting those early. Make sure you're getting with that student and saying, hey, listen, you're missing this. You have to get this done. You have to make sure that you do this. Tell them early on. Don't wait until they've been consistently doing it, and then later on go, okay, what I've noticed is the past 17 patients that we've had, you haven't done this. Well, that's not the time. We needed to be telling them really early on so that they can make that corrective measure and they can move on from there. And then be a good listener. Listen to what they have to say. Listen to some of their concerns. Don't immediately, and it's very hard sometimes for us as paramedics to not just immediately become defensive when a student is questioning why we're doing what we're doing, okay? They're questioning. They're asking questions. They ask me a ton of questions, and the reason that they're doing that is because they're trying to learn. They're trying to understand exactly why we do what we do. Give them their opportunity. Give them that opportunity to become a good entry-level paramedic. Help them to become a good entry-level paramedic, okay? And be completely honest and open with them, and especially on your expectations. What I always say, like first shift-wise, is bring that student in, tell them exactly what your expectations as a preceptor are, give them the information that they need in order to be successful on your ambulance, because remember, too, that they may have not seen your ambulance, so go through your bags with them, go through your ambulance with them, make sure that they know exactly where things are, what to do, how to do it, and give them a good foundation to start with. I think that's very, very important. As far as training goes, paramedic training, so we do train to a national standard. As far as what our paramedic training requirements are, or how our paramedic training requirements are laid out, COAMPS, the Commission on Accreditation of EMS Professions, the COAMPS comes in and accredits our program, and they look at our program and they say, yes, you are teaching to the standards that we expect. Yes, your students are seeing the things that we expect them to see. One of the things that COAMPS lays out for us is what our students should do in both the lab environment, in the simulation environment, and then in the field and clinical environment. The things that they should see and the things that they should do in each of those environments. Excuse me. So they have numbers. The students are aware of those numbers. The student should not only be playing to the numbers, though, right? So what a student should never say to you is, yeah, I don't need a respiratory patient. When a cardiac patient comes in, hey, let me know. I'm not going to ride on this respiratory patient because I don't need respiratory numbers. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do, especially out in the field. When it comes to field, your students should be documenting every single patient they come in contact with, every single one. That includes the refusals. That includes any respiratory, cardiac, whatever it may be, even if you think and they think, this is just a BLS patient, there's really no reason. No, they absolutely should. Even if it's a transfer, they absolutely should. We're going to deal with transfers in just a second because there's a couple of things I want to talk about in terms of transfers. Obviously, NHTSA lays out the paramedic national standard curriculum, and that's what we focus on. We focus on that national standard curriculum. When it comes to things like drug cards, in general, what we do on their drug cards is we leave it a very broad definition of what that medication might be, or we go to lower doses. All right, so you guys may be using higher doses out in the field of certain medications. You may look at the drug card and go, well, that makes absolutely no sense. Why is that dose so low? And that's probably because we're going on what the lowest dose nationally would be based upon. Okay, so sometimes things look a little weird, or you might see little issues and you go, well, that doesn't seem right. If it comes down to a curriculum question, please, by all means, contact me. That's what I do. That's my thing, is making sure curriculum is correct, making sure that curriculum is up to standard. Okay, so please, by all means, get in touch with us. National Registry of Emergency Medical Technicians, the NREMT. The NREMT does lay out some of the things that they have expectations for us for training, but that's about it. The NREMT is really more just a certification body. The NREMT says here are certain things in a portfolio of lab skills that they should do prior to taking the NREMT psychomotor, because as most of you know, the NREMT psychomotor has changed quite a bit over the past 5 years. They've gone from just the 12 stations that you have to do the NREMT to 6 stations plus an integrated out-of-hospital scenario that the student will have to do in order to become nationally certified. So things have changed quite a bit with the National Registry as well. And then, of course, the Wisconsin DHS, and Wisconsin DHS lays out quite a bit as far as training goes. Now, the COAMP standards and the Wisconsin DHS standards, they don't vary by much. The Wisconsin standards, many of them are a little lower than what the COAMP standards require. So whichever, when we look at the Wisconsin standard or the COAMP standard, whichever is higher is where we set our minimums for our students. So if the Wisconsin DHS standard is higher, a good example of this is endotracheal intubation. So with endotracheal intubation, COAMPS does not require that they do any specific live endotracheal intubations. COAMPS basically says they can simulate all endotracheal intubations. Well, the state of Wisconsin says no, they have to get at least 2 live intubations, either in the OR, the ER, the field, whatever that may be. Now, most of the students, before they come to you, they have been to the OR and they've already gotten their 2 intubations. But that doesn't mean that they can't intubate a patient out in the field. As a matter of fact, if they have a chance to do it, we'd love to hear about that, and we'd love to see them intubate that patient. Any of those things, any of those skills that an entry paramedic would be expected to do, our students should be able to do. So the other thing that I wanted to mention was transfers. One of the great questions that I got recently is what do patient transfers mean to a paramedic student? So here's the thing about patient transfers. The vast majority of patient transfers, unfortunately, will not count in as team leads for a student, and I'll explain team leads in just a second. Yeah, I know what you're thinking, and I was thinking it too when I read this was, man, there are some patient transfers that are just fantastic and great learning experiences for the student. And that's good. They should have that learning experience, but it shouldn't preclude them or keep them away from potentially running a 911 call. So, for example, if they're at a station where you guys have 2 ambulances there, and one ambulance is sort of set to go out and do those 911 calls, and the other ambulance is doing transfers, or let's say that ambulance gets called on a transfer and the other one is still there and available for 911 calls, we would prefer that the student get the chance to be on those 911 calls. The reason being is actually laid out by the Commission on Accreditation of EMS Professions. They actually look at an interfacility transport as really not counting as a team lead. And what the main thing is that our students are looking for in the field environment is team leads. And that's really, really important to the students. And they're going to be doing a lot of counting of team leads, excuse me, because they are expecting at that point to be almost done. And team leads should be all that they really have left to do. There are certain transfers that do count. For example, if you're taking that patient from a lower level hospital to a higher level hospital, that may count. And I only say may because if it's ALS monitoring and that's really it, that may not count. So what I generally tell the students to do, and preceptors are welcome to do this as well, is to contact me. If you have a question as to whether or not a certain transfer is going to be beneficial for that student or not, in terms of team leads, contact me, get in touch with me, and I'll try to give you a more or less executive decision as to whether or not that team lead is going to be useful, or that interfacility is going to work as a team lead for that student. So during the field rotation, what are our students looking to do? They are looking to do team leads. Team leads, team leads, team leads, team leads, team leads. I can't stress it enough. That is what they're looking to do. Out in the field environment in general, our students are going to be looking to do 10 team members as well. Now, many of those team members are actually coming in simulation, and that's okay. And of those 40 team leads, 20 of those team leads can be done in simulation if necessary. Many of our students will be coming out to you with somewhere in the teens, so maybe 15 team leads that they've already gotten in the simulation environment. Some of them will be less. Some of them will only have maybe 10 team leads in the simulation environment. They have to get up to 40 team leads total. And very important, very, 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 very important, they have to do a minimum of 20 live team leads. So 40 team leads total. Half of those could be simulated. Generally, when they come out to you, half of them are not simulated. But they have to do a minimum of 20 live team leads out in the field. Have to, okay? And that's on top of they're going to be doing 10 team members as well, all right? We don't really get into observation. If you look at the paramedic curriculum, they talk about observation. The students will do most of their observations in simulation. But as far as observation goes, what I just did is I rolled that into the team lead numbers, because team leads can count as team members can count as observations, so that team leads can count as observations as well. So the higher level, like team lead, team member, those kind of things can count for the lower level. So if they in the field environment wind up getting 50 team leads, that's fantastic. 10 of those can count as team members. That is okay to do that, okay? So in general, what we're looking for is those minimum of 50 patient contacts. Many of our students will get over that, and that's our hope as well. Now, that's only in field internship, because out in the clinical environment, there's completely different numbers, and I won't talk exactly about the clinical environment at the moment. There's also scenario numbers, and that's specifically for the NREMT, and I won't talk about those at the moment either. I'm just talking about what affects you guys out in field internship. The basic purpose of an observation, well, that's for the student to watch. That's the idea. Now, some of you may say, all right, that first shift, I want the student just to kind of follow me, to observe, to watch what's going on. So hopefully we can assign people to people, right? We can assign students to specific preceptors, but that doesn't always happen. So communicate with your student. Find out how many shifts have you done already. If truly this is their first shift, they have never been out on the ambulance as a student at all, then, absolutely fine. Of course, you're the first contact that they're actually getting with being, live paramedic out in the field. Observation team member, I think that's fine. But sometimes what happens is the student has ridden with a preceptor or ridden with multiple preceptors, and this is, say, their, 10th shift, right? Then in that 10th shift, right, you're now the 11th shift, and you're saying, well, I just want you to observe because this is the first time you've ever ridden with me. Be careful about that. Kind of rotate that. Turn that around and say, I'm going to observe you. I'm going to watch you to determine whether or not I think you're ready to just, go ahead and take over team lead here. So it is still your ambulance. It is still your call. It is still your patient. You get to make that call. You get to say, hey, no, wait a minute. I'm sorry. You're not ready yet. I don't know who you rode with previously, but, let's talk. And let's see what we can do to figure out what exactly is going on, okay? If you do that, if you say to the student, you're not ready, please explain to them why. Please explain why you think they're not ready. If you're not comfortable with explaining to them why you're not ready, maybe they're not taking that feedback well or something like that, then get in touch with us. Let us know, and we will definitely help you in order to to figure out how to best serve that student. So, as far as team member goes, this is being a member of the team. If the student is with you on the calls, is watching you, is being part of the team, they're a member of the team. So you would say, well, wait a minute, what's the difference between team member and observation? Well, this is why I kind of took observation out of it. I want the student to either act as a team leader or as a team member. Okay, they should be acting just as a member of the team. They should be in there helping out, not standing there like this, watching you do everything and watching your team do everything. No, if they're a paramedic, they're at minimum licensed as an EMT. They could potentially be licensed as an AEMT. So they should be in there. They should be acting as a member of the team. They should be helping you out. There's no doubt about that. As far as team member, they should be, helping out with information. They should be helping information gathering. Maybe as the team member, you send them to gather information from the nursing home nurse or from the family member or something like that. That's great. That's exactly what they should be doing as a team member. You could even be asking them, hey, what medication might you give this patient in this particular situation? And they go, well, I'm going to give this medication. You go, right, good. Obviously, it can be a little scary for our patients, so you have to be, a little careful about that. But getting some information out of the student, learning what they learn, knowing what they know, that can be helpful for you as a preceptor. As a team lead, just what it says. The student should be leading the team, plain and simple. That student should be acting as the entry-level paramedic with your guidance and with your observation. You are keeping an eye on everything that's going on, making sure that everything is going well, making sure that they're operating properly, but they should be acting as the lead. Plain and simple, that's what they should be doing, and that is what constitutes a team lead. If you have any questions about the differences between team members, team leads, those kind of things, or whether or not what a student did was a team member or a team lead, feel free to contact myself, feel free to contact Anna Hoffman, and we can give you more information as to why that is. If you have any questions, that's what we're here for. So, if the student says, hey, I want to be the team lead, I think I can lead this call. Okay, and you give them the chance to lead that call, and then you go, wow, you didn't really lead that call. I did most of the telling you what to do or telling you what to give. You can tell the student that needs to be downgraded to team member. If there's any disagreement on that and you're unable to resolve that disagreement right then and there, again, contact us. That's what we're here for, and we can help you resolve that disagreement. In most cases, you can explain to the student, hey, listen, that was more of a team member than a team lead. This is why I think that is what it is. And they can say, all right, yeah, you're probably right. Okay. In most cases, that's the response you're going to get, especially if you explain to them really well why. Why is it that I think you should count this as a team member rather than a team lead? All right. Student paperwork. Paperwork should be done after the shift. So when the shift is done, that's really when the paperwork should be done. We do understand that sometimes in shift change and all that kind of stuff, there's crazy stuff going on. We completely understand that, and if you fill it out a little bit before or something like that, that's fine. If you're not comfortable filling out that paperwork in front of the student or giving it to the student to return to us, you can absolutely return it directly to us. You do not have to give it directly to the student. You can return it directly to us. All right, if you're not comfortable with doing that. In most cases, you're probably going to be pretty comfortable saying, hey, you did a really good job today, or hey, these are the things that you need improvement on, and this is why I'm giving you what I'm giving you as far as a field internship score goes. Okay. As far as skills log, our students are expected not only to log things into FISDAP, but also log them on paper so that you can then initial, right? So you should be initialing every single thing that they do. They should be writing down, here's what I did. I saw a cardiac patient. I saw a respiratory patient. I saw this. I saw that. Excuse me. And I did an IV, or I did a sub-Q, or I did this, or I did that. Any of those things that they mark, you should be initialing on, yes, they did, yes, they didn't, or no, they did not do that, all right? Don't initial for a student if they didn't do it, right? You're not helping them any. If you say, hey, just put a cardiac in there. I know you need one more cardiac. We'll just put that cardiac in there. That's not helping our student at all, okay? And that's certainly not something that we would want you to be teaching them to do, obviously, right? So they're going to be tracking both in FISDAP. They're going to be writing things into FISDAP. They're going to be logging into FISDAP. They're going to be doing narratives in FISDAP. And then they're also going to be doing the skills log. One of the questions came up from one of the students: should the student be doing my patient care report in image trend or something like that, whatever you're using? No. Your patient care report should be done by you. They should be doing a separate patient care report. Now, does that mean that you guys can't sit down together and work on that report in image trend? You can have them typing while you're sitting there and working with them on putting information into image trend. Of course you can do that, but you are ultimately responsible as the preceptor for what goes into image trend for your patients. So no, they really should not be filling out your information. You should be filling out your information, and then you should be helping them to fill out their information, okay? So there's one other part to this skills log, and I want to show that. I want to share that here. So let me share that real quick with you on the screen. And the other part to this, there is sort of a back part. Sometimes takes a little while for these things to come up. Oh, that's not what I wanted to share. Sorry about that. This is what all this newfangled technology gets me, right? Is how to operate these things correctly, because sometimes I'm not so great at it. Well, you know what? Actually, now that I have that content open, I do want to share something about that. So let me pull that piece of information up. Okay, so this is our clinical manual. We have developed a clinical manual. The clinical manual, the students should have a copy of this with them. I recommend that they bring it out to all of their clinicals. I recommend that they bring it out to their field shifts. It's got program contacts in it, so you're able to get in touch with any of us at any point in time. And then it's got kind of a clinical overview for the student, what they should be doing, how many hours they should be doing, team leads, those kind of things, a general clinical outline, what the objectives are of the clinicals and what the objectives are of field internship. And then as we scroll through on the very, very bottom, the page that I want to show you is right down here. So here's the log that the student is going to fill out, a preceptor evaluation form that they're going to fill out on you. Most of these are done on FISDAP, but we do have a preceptor evaluation that they can fill out. Then there's their skills log. You saw that before. And then this is the back portion. So this is the back of the skill sheet. So here's the front of the skill sheet, and then the back of the skill sheet. And on the back of the skill sheet, we want you to fill this out on the student. We want you to circle the numbers that you feel the student has earned during this time. So patient interview, history gathering, how did they do? Were they unsatisfactory? Were they poor or weak? Were they marginal? Were they competent, or were they highly competent? Okay? And so that's what we're looking for you to fill out. And then at the bottom here, satisfactory and needs improvement. So did the student report on time? Satisfactory or needs improvement? They didn't come in on time. They didn't get there when they were supposed to get there. So that would be a needs improvement. And then you can fill in any comments at the bottom. And obviously, if you have any other comments that might not fit into this box, email it to Anna, email it to myself directly. We can then deal with any of those problems as well. Again, any questions on anything like this, please make sure, get in touch with us. That's what we're here for. We're here to help you guys, to help our students be successful. Okay. let's go back to just sharing our PowerPoint here. All right, sorry, it takes me a little second there. So we'll stop sharing Word, and we will go back to our PowerPoint. Okay, so back into the PowerPoint, there's the skills log again. There's the information on the skills log. You can see it also kind of lays out some numbers. Those are minimum numbers, and then when you see things like team lead, remember team member and team lead have kind of been combined, and that's where we get that number 40, and then members count for observations. But you can mark any one of these. If you feel they only sat there and watched and observed, that's fine. Go ahead and mark that. All of the numbers that they need to know are updated in FISDAP, and they can show you those numbers. They know exactly how to get to them and where they are, okay? Please make sure that they fill out the very top portion, and you should make sure that that portion is filled out. Time in, time out, hours, all of that. You are signing off on that time in and that time out and on those hours that they completed. Preceptor initials and preceptor signature, please make sure that those get put in there, and then fill out the back portion of that preceptor log, of that skills log as well. As far as field evaluation goes, you know, I want to see, can they control the scene well? Can they do a really good patient interview? Can they do a really good physical exam? All of the things that we would expect them to be able to do as entry-level paramedics. And then, did they come up with a good treatment plan? Was their differential diagnosis on target? Was it a good differential diagnosis? Did they make the decision to give the patient the correct medications? Did they use the right skills? And did they show leadership on that call? Excuse me. So if there are people that are working with them who are EMTs, AEMTs, did they show appropriate leadership on that call? Did they act as a good leader and not just a boss and be bossy and tell them, hey, you're supposed to do this and that? Did they show professionalism as well? And I think that is kind of the definition of showing professionalism. Your role as that preceptor, please remember, is to document any problem areas that you see, but also to help that student gain the knowledge that they need in order to be really good paramedics out in the field. That's why we send them to you, because you guys have been identified as really good paramedics out in the field, and we want them to learn from you. And again, thank you so much. We appreciate everything that you do. I can't thank you enough. I've talked to so many preceptors directly, and I've met with so many wonderful people. You know, I moved up here 5 years ago from Florida, so I'm still learning people. I'm still learning places. I can't believe I'm saying that after 5 years. But you know, feel free if you want to contact myself or you want to contact Anna at any point in time. Even if you want to contact us and say, man, this student did, excuse me, a fantastic job. We really love what this student did. Please, by all means, get in touch with us. We love to hear positive feedback as well as negative feedback. And we love to just hear from you. So come on in, come say hello to us. Come see all of the really new and great changes that are happening at Madison College. And, you know, we would love to show you. We would love to show you. We are running both day classes and night classes. So if you're hearing of anybody that's looking to come out to paramedic class and they're thinking, I can't do the day class, we now run night classes. We do some really, really cool stuff. We're doing some education at distance, really great stuff. So please come and see what we have to offer. Come and see what we've got for you. And again, can't thank you enough for being preceptors. We appreciate everything you do. We hope that you have a great day, and thank you for tuning in. Here is our contact information. Lastly, sorry, I forgot I had a last slide here. You know, I just got to talking, and I was appreciating you so much. Look at that. So Dylan Gavinsky is our program director and department chair. As I said before, I'm the lead paramedic instructor. My name is Bill Ballo, and Anna Marie Hoffman is our clinical and field internship director. Here are all of our contact information. If you need to get in touch with any of us, please, by all means. That's what we're here for. Thank you so much. We appreciate everything you do, and we hope that you have a great day. And, you know, thank you for being part of our team.